Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide, Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
Hey, I'm Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I talk about movies. I used to write about movies. I'm also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
Yes, you are. And yeah, I hear you on used to writing about movies, just podcasting about them these days.
Yes.
Anyway, we have a movie that we're going to talk about, but we'll get to that in a minute. Before we get to that, I'll mention over on our Patreon this week, our Patreon exclusive audio, we are talking about the 1986 horror film April Fool's Day for no particular reason other than we both wanted to see it. And so we had a fun conversation about that movie, very particular premise and certain things going on there. If you're a patron, check that out. If you're not, $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes like that one, as well as a back catalog filled with hundreds of bonus episodes. Plenty to keep you busy. And we also do a monthly poll. We have one of those coming up that we're going to do. So look out for that, patrons. And then while I'm at it, I'll say thank you to our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather.
Appreciate your support. All right, so now on to the main event. We got one movie that we're going to be talking about, and it is How to Make a Killing, starring Glenn Powell. It's written and directed by John Patton Ford, who did Emily the Criminal. And as I mentioned, it's got Glenn Powell. It has Margaret Qualley, Jessica Henwick, Topher Grace, Ed Harris, Zach Woods, Bill Camp. And I feel like that's all the people that I feel like were notable in this movie. Let's do our one sentence IMDb summary, and then we'll get into it. Disowned at birth by his obscenely wealthy family, blue-collar Beckett Redfellow, Glenn Powell, will stop at nothing to reclaim his inheritance no matter how many relatives stand in the way. I do like that that's on the poster, too. It just says, 28 billion inheritance, period. 7 relatives standing in the way, period. How to make a killing. Appreciate the simplicity of the premise. So yeah, Glenn Powell, his mother in the film came from a well-to-do family with Ed Harris as the patriarch, and she at a party sleeps with his dad, who's like a guy in the band at the party. He's like a bassist or a cello player. I can't remember.
Cellist or something, some classical instrument, mildly not a bum, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so she decides to keep it, and she's disowned by the family. And the dad has an aneurysm seeing the childbirth, and so he's raised by his mom, and she's really scrapping, but she wants. She's still like bringing up with like culture, like doing archery and horseback riding and all that shit, because she wants him to like have the culture even if he can't like afford the culture. And then of course she gets sick and dies, and on her deathbed she says, don't quit until you have the life you deserve, I think is what she says to him. And he's kind of like, I don't really know what to make of that, other than I guess maybe I need to go like someday try to get my hands on this inheritance. And the reason, even though his mother has been disowned, is that the grandfather put together an irrevocable trust that supposedly, will pass down to whatever heir is still standing at the end of this. And so he reaches adulthood. He runs, he's working in like a men's clothing store, like high-end clothing store, and he runs into Margaret Qualley, who is his like childhood crush, who also was like, came from like a well-to-do family, but definitely had aspirations of like, even more. And she, I think, makes some joke like, oh, how about you? Why'd you call me when you bumped them off or something like that? Like he asked her out, and she's engaged, and she's like, I don't know, but maybe call me when you bump off your like family. And so this is when he gets the idea that like, yeah, there's, only 7 relatives standing in the way between me and this inheritance. So I can start bumping them off, starting with like the youngest and dumbest of them all.
Yeah.
And so he starts like weaseling his way into the circles. surrounding his family. He bumps off, like the finance bro guy. He like ties an anchor to his leg and drops him into the ocean. And that seems to go out without a hitch. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, he's partying, he was stupid, whatever. And although the FBI is fairly quick to kind of sense that something weird is going on.
I think it's after the second murder, right?
Yeah.
Which
so
is
the next
is that the
Zach Woods.
Zach Woods, yeah.
Yeah, the next guy in line is played by Zach Woods. He's like a stoner artist kind of guy who's like, making photography and whatnot. And he's super like douchey and hipstery. And he's has a smoking habit. And so Glenn Powell has this like plan to basically like put a bunch of chemicals into his photo developing solution so that when he lights a match, he'll blow himself up, which he does. But while he's there, he meets the guy's girlfriend, who's played by Jessica Henwick, and they are crazy about each other. They have like crazy chemistry. They definitely like similar interests. And so she becomes like his romantic interest after Zach Woods dies. Like not too long after actually that night he plans it so that he takes his coat, or he leaves his coat, so she has to come after him, and so she's not there for the explosion and isn't harmed. But then he like kisses her, and then they're like gonna see each other but can't because of the death. But then they end up hanging out a little bit later anyway, so they strike up a romance. And then let's see, he just starts going down the line. The next one I think is Topher Grace, who is like one of those crazy televangelist kind of people, like a samurai sword wielding health smoothie drinking nutcase.
Yeah.
In a very memorable scene. So he like drugs him and kills him with his like fitness shake. And then there's another relative that's going to go to space. He like drugs his coffee. And it's just like he's doing really well and managing to like kind of do it on the sly with all these like killings. But Mark Ruffalo comes back around and is like, yeah, I'm going to need some money from you.
Yeah.
Because like I know what you're doing. Like, and then she admits later that she's been like had him followed and has like evidence that he's been bumping off the relatives. And so she's like blackmailing him because her husband's business is failing. But she's also like trying to like seduce him the entire time. She's like, putting like wearing like short skirts and like putting her legs up on the table and doing like all this stuff of like,
well, it's more
classic
like
femme fatale.
Yeah, it's more like a carrot, right, than a seduction.
Yeah.
No. And he's not really. The thing that's kind of interesting is he's kind of interested, but he's actually not really interested.
Yeah, I think he's kind of turned off by how sleazy she's being.
Yes, the murderer is turned off by the sleaze. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and there's an uncle that, the first guy who dies, his dad, played by Bill Camp, like, is like, oh, like, I should have totally, like, taken care of you. Like, come work for me. And he's really amazing. And he actually doesn't want to kill him because he's a really awesome dude and is, like, despite being rich, seems like a really decent person and seems to reward his hard work. And he ends up dying of a heart attack.
Natural causes. Yeah.
Natural causes.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, he has the episode right with Glenn Powell as they're leaving the office one day, so it's legit.
Right. Yeah, and he goes with him to the hospital and gives like this like deathbed like, don't like forget about work. Like work's not important. Like look at me. Like I'm alone. Like the only person who came to see me is you. Like go out there, find somebody, do something. Like don't just make your whole life about trying to get money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's see. So where do we get to? So Ed Harris.
So 5 of them are dead.
Right.
The 3 young guys, the pilot, then him. Is there a 6th one?
Yeah, he kills the aunt who's like the like one who adopted all those children, and he like poisons her teeth whitening solution at the spa.
Right.
So she's dead, and it's just him and Ed Harris. And so he gets engaged to Jessica Henwick, and like everything's going great. and he gets this invitation to go like have dinner with Ed Harris, and he's like, I gotta go. And she's like, well, we have our engagement party that night. He's like, but this might be my only chance. And she's like, you better fucking be there for this engagement party. And so of course he skips it to go meet Ed Harris, who, you know, sits and has dinner with him and then pulls out a gun and is like, here's a trenching gun, why don't you like point it at my heart and see if you're gonna do something about it. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he tries to leave and finds out that the house is locked and Ed Harris is hunting him with a gun inside the house. So he literally has to like flee for his life. And after all of these murders, he actually has to kill Ed Harris to survive. He uses his archery skills to land a couple arrows right in his chest and his neck. And so he ends up surviving that. I should also mention that the movie's framing device is that he's on death row. And he's telling this story to a priest in the hours before his execution. So he's kind of like, we're dipping in and out of that throughout the story. And then he's like, you know, what does he? So he inherits the money, and he's with Jessica Henwick, and then they nab him for murder, and he's framed for the murder of Margaret Qualley's husband.
Right.
And they have, you know, his fingerprints on the letter opener, which he did touch when he like gave him the blackmail money, and he did beat the shit out of him and everybody saw it. So there's like a lot of evidence that adds up. And so he's convicted and sent away and he's on death row. And then Margaret Qualley comes to him at the last minute and is like, I got this suicide note that he wrote that I could maybe introduce to like get you off. And he's like, fuck you, you're sick, you're twisted. And he's like, wait a minute, I don't want to die. So he's like, okay, come on, let's do it. But like the deal is he has to sign all of his money over to her. And that's the condition. She'll like get him out. So she gets him out at the end and he sees Jessica Henwick and he thinks like, oh, maybe now that I'm like innocent, we'll get back together. And she's like, nope, here's the locket with your mom, Sarah. See you later. And so he's stuck with Margaret Qualley at the end. And like basically he's like sitting there in the car with her, like looking really just kind of fucked up from the whole thing. Yeah, just like on the verge of tears, like so fucked up. Like this is what my life has come to. I have to like basically be with her because no one else will be with me to have the money that I now feel really twisted for having, and I'm never going to feel right the rest of my life. And that's kind of where the movie ends.
Yeah. And she's presumably going to hang on to those photos and everything like that, right? So
right. Yeah, and always hang that over his head. So, but he's like, well, fuck it. I guess if this is what I got to do to keep the money, this is what I'll do.
Right. Yeah.
So, Dave, what did you think about this one?
I will tell you what I told Allied when I was leaving the theater, and they asked me. Direct quote.
That's true. I can verify that he did make that noise. In that face.
I feel like this is a movie that, well, you know, Crump, Andy Crump, you know, one of our friends who's also a critic, said afterwards, he's like, this is basically, you know, Kind Hearts and Coronets, which is a movie from, I want to say, the late 40s, and Alec Guinness plays every member of his family. And it's a very similar plot. He's trying to kill off everyone in his family. And it's great. It's like one of the, you know, great movies or whatever. I haven't seen it since the 90s, but I do remember thinking like, yeah, this is good. So anyway, I just kind of, I have several problems with this that don't, and I don't know if they're like actual problems or if they're just, you know, my peccadillos or whatever, but I don't think that Glenn Powell's performance elicits any sort of sympathy, or I don't want to say identification, because who can identify with a serial killer?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the whole thing is, I've had a real problem lately with movies that are glib, and this one's not glib in the sense that it's like offensive, but it
is smug.
It's smug. Yes, there you go.
And his character is very smug. And I also struggled with that throughout the movie, especially how smug he is when he's, you know, spilling his guts to the priest on death row, like kind of like knowing that he's going to get out of this still.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought, you know, what probably would have turned it around for me is if he had signed everything over to Margaret Qualley and then she just let him die.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to happen because they do have that moment where he's like, well, I was pretty cocky up until now, and now I'm not sure I'm even going to make it out. So, and the priest starts like kind of like reading him his last rites.
Yeah, and then the priest leaves, and then one of the prison guards says, "I can't." Was it Redfellow? That's his name. Said, "Redfellow, you're not gonna fucking believe this." And I was like, "Oh, the movie chickened out," because how great would it have been if he just was fucking gas chambered or electric chaired? This is presumably this is upstate New York. I'm guessing electric chair or lethal injection. That's
they said that the reason why he got the death penalty is because supposedly he crossed state lines to do the murder. So they're like,
it's a
federal crime. Right. So then it's got to be the death penalty.
Right.
But yeah, I struggled with that too, of how smug he is throughout the movie and having trouble identifying with that. I would say, like, in that last moment, I thought his performance was really good, really effective.
When he was afraid he was going to die.
Well, when he was afraid he was going to die, but in the moment at the very end where he's sitting in the car, kind of grappling with his life choices and realizing this is the rest of my life. This is going to be fucking horrible.
Yeah, that's the only time he feels like a real person to me, where there's actually like some pathos in the scene and some emotion. Everything is it's just played so, it's played straight, but it's not played straight at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's really strange. And, I didn't love Emily the Criminal, although I think it's better than this. But it really, I felt like, towed the line between like drama about, a drug dealer and woman who's in over her head, at the same time, because she makes a lot of mistakes that almost get her killed. And ends up, coming out on top, if I recall correctly. But the movie has kind of, I wouldn't call it a downer ending, but it's ambiguous-ish. Ambiguous-ish. Yeah. It's hard to say.
It is.
I haven't seen that though since it came out, so who knows? And I also remember it's got a really, what's her face? What is her face, Evan?
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza gives a great, in my estimation, a great lead performance. Whereas I think Glenn Powell is fine. I've liked him so much better in other things, though.
Same. Yeah, I think I've liked him better in other things than this. Like even Hitman, I feel like I liked him more in.
Yeah, Hitman was like, it was so strange. It was like, he was like a person in that. Maybe because he had more skin in the game. Didn't he co-write that? I think he did.
Maybe. I think he might have been more involved in that.
That dumb romantic comedy he was in with Sydney Sweeney. I didn't love it, but I thought he was really likable. I liked him in Top Gun Maverick. There's a couple other things I've seen him in, like before he became famous. Like he's in Everybody Wants Some, which is a Richard Linklater movie.
He is really good in a real standout performance.
Yeah. And so this was just kind of, I feel like it's more, like going through the motions for him. He's like, all right, I'm a leading man now. I got to make, movies. Let's hope I don't make opportunity knocks like Dana Carvey did. Well, he's also like he has leading man good looks, so that helps. But I also just felt like I really disliked Margaret Qualley's character so much so. Like she was just so clearly like a shithead and conniving.
Yeah.
That it's like, can we please maybe inject some mystery into this? Whether, she, is in love with him, or the whole thing is just she's just so obviously terrible. Even when you see her in the store when she bumps into him,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's bad when they're kids too. When she walks over to him and she's like, "What are you doing at my party?" And
she's like, "It's okay to say you're here to impress me," or something like, or "It's okay to say you're trying to impress me."
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, I don't know what 11-year-old would say that, but all right. Yeah. So I just the things that I thought worked best with this were when he, meets Jessica Henwick and they're kind of hitting it off.
Yep. Crackling chemistry, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that his scenes with Bill Camp as his uncle are really good.
Yep.
And you do get the feeling that he cares deeply about him. Um, and,
Hmm.
uh, is sad when he dies unexpectedly. The other thing is, I don't believe that Glenn Powell was born in 1993, like the movie says he was. I mean,
Yeah,
I know he's nearly 40, but he's playing like 30 in this, which just doesn't work. You know,
yeah, I
there's
also was
that too.
struggling with that too. I was like,
Yeah, but I think that you said that I think you liked this better than I did overall, right?
I did like this better than you. Yeah, I agree with the struggles with the lead character and with Glenn Powell's performance being kind of uneven and not as good as we've seen him in other things.
Mm-hmm.
I also enjoyed the Jessica Henwick piece of the story and their chemistry. I agree with you that Margaret Qualley, there could have been more depth to her character or more intrigue or mystery rather than her just kind of being a naked opportunist. And like, she's clearly having a lot of fun though. I think I liked her performance because she's having fun, like basically like twirling the mustache like evil.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what I liked in this movie is the supporting cast and their performances really raising the boat for me. Like, I love Zach Woods. I think he's fucking hilarious, and
Right. He
I
is
think
great.
he's really really funny in this. And to the point where like when I saw, as soon as I saw him, I knew he was dead meat, but I didn't want him to be because he's so entertaining, and he's
Yeah.
so good at playing like douchey characters who are like full of themselves and pretentious. And so I loved seeing him on screen. I really liked when Topher Grace popped up, and I thought he was having a blast, and he was really fun in a similar way with when he brought out the sword and was like hanging it in Glenn Powell's face. And so, and I was really enjoying that. I thought Bill Camp was excellent.
Yeah.
I liked Ed Harris in this, although I don't know if I've really seen him do anything new. I liked
No.
seeing him as like an evil patriarch here.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of like, I'm just gonna get you here to try and kill you with the trenching gun, that I thought was pretty entertaining. And so I liked all of those aspects of the movie. Like, I felt like once the movie jettisoned a lot of the voiceover, which I found just so fucking irritating and tired, and just got into the meat of the story, it actually built momentum. And I was liking the score, and I was liking, the supporting performances enough that I was really into it, and I was on board for the ride. And then I thought the ending was effective too. Although I agree with you, it would have been really bold if they just let him die on death row. But
That would
I
have been
thought it was
amazing.
extremely effective emotionally to have him be like, I don't know, cuckolded by the money. It's the best way I
Yeah.
can describe it.
Well,
But it really, it's messed up. It's a messed up ending to leave
yeah.
somebody with.
Well, the other thing that would be great about the execution ending is, how a lot of times, I think maybe it's every time, there's always, you can view, certain parties can view the execution. If
Right.
Margaret Qualley was there watching it, that would have been amazing.
Hmm.
And just like truly evil. Yeah, I agree that she was having fun with it, but I didn't love her performance. It's just so, the character, I don't know if it's her or, she's got a really small, like, do you remember The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell
I
Crowe?
remember the movie. I don't remember her in it.
Oh, well, she's kind of the linchpin. She's who they're looking for the entire time.
Hmm.
And it's a small part, and she like really puts a lot into it, and it's her character is varied and, silly, but also bright. And here it's just kind of like, I think that's about the writing. I think that she's just sort of flat. And yes, she's having fun with it, Margaret Qualley, the performer, but the
Hmm.
character itself is like, I don't fucking care. This character sucks. Get her off the screen. you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, I still can't help but think of Andie MacDowell every time I see her, because she's one of those child nepo babies who looks exactly like her parent. So
Yeah.
not exactly, but so much
No,
like her that it's like, I
strikingly
can't.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a look about her that I feel like she similarly channels it. She has like a charisma that she's channeling that feels very Andie MacDowell.
Yeah. I think she's a better actor than her mother, but because Andie MacDowell can be good, but when she's not, she's not. So
I can't think that I've seen Andie MacDowell in that many things, and I'm actually realizing I've seen Margaret Qualley in more things than I remembered. But yeah, I just recently watched Honey Don't from last year, and I really liked that a lot, and I thought she was great in it. So maybe there's some of that Honey Don't glow that's still surrounding her. That's why I liked her more in this movie.
Yeah. Honey, is that she's a PI in that one? Is that right?
It's a PI in that, which also has Aubrey Plaza and Chris Evans, and it's written and directed by Ethan Coen.
Right.
Yeah.
I had meant to see it, never got around to it. I haven't seen any of the stuff that he or his brother have done since they started working solo. That's not true. I saw the whatever Shakespeare it was that Joel Coen did. I saw
Macbeth. That.
Yeah. It was fine.
Sorry. The Scottish play.
The Scottish play. Yeah. Right. Now we got to call it the Scottish podcast, I suppose. It'll be great. So yeah, I mean, this is one of those movies where you feel like, this is another germ of a good idea that, yes, you stole from somebody else, but it's, it's a solid premise. I don't know. I kind of feel like that if it were more dramatic, it might, because this movie kind of toes the line between like light drama and dark comedy, and it doesn't do either of them particularly well, I don't think. It, like you said, it does do the last scene in the limo with Glenn Powell and Margaret Qualley is really powerful. And there's sort of like his scenes with Bill Camp really ring true, and it seems genuine how much he cares about him and how he cares about Jessica Henwick. But yeah, I think that if the kills were a little more, I don't need to see a bunch of blood or everything like that, but if they were a little more, it's one thing to tie an anchor around somebody's ankle and throw him overboard. It's another thing to see the guy come to and try to like scrabble his way back onto the boat before he sinks below the waves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think something like that, while not being bloody or anything like that, just sort of the horror of the crimes themselves, I think would have been. I think that would have gone a long way for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That one I found it is a weird spot between dark comedy and drama, because that particular kill, he's planning it. He's wrapped the rope around the guy's leg and he has the anchor, but ultimately he drops the anchor by accident while he's jolted. He's startled by something else on the boat, and he ends up dropping the anchor while he's still thinking through whether he even wants to kill him in the first place. And then it just happens so fast. So he's like, well, it's done now.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a cop-out, right? Because it gets him into the other murders, and the other murders, he sort of treats them as if like, well, I've done the one, I may as well do the others. Whereas
what's one more murder?
Yeah. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, it's also the premise of the song Murder by Numbers by the Police, but
I like the method of killing in all of the instances. I think it was a little talky for my taste of him explaining the mode of killing, but I actually thought they were entertaining and creative ways of bumping them all off to make it look like an accident, or like to make it plausible that they could have like died accidentally.
Yeah. I also, I think that the movie missed a real opportunity with the two FBI agents following him to have more of a play between the three of them.
They never feel like a substantial threat in the movie to him.
Right.
They always seem more like, we're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's here, and we're talking with you, and we're following you, but we're not like the most suspicious of you, or we're not telling you that we're on to you in a way that you typically see like cat and mouse style in this type of movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Missed opportunities. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
So.
I think those are all fair criticisms, critiques of the movie.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's like we were saying, it's not bad. I mean, and you liked it more than I did, but
yeah.
I do appreciate though that even though this is how I feel about Hiding Out starring John Cryer, I love that movie. I mean, more than I think you like this. But I would never say to anybody, you've got to see this movie because it's amazing, And I feel like you're kind of like, yeah, I liked it, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, it's fucking great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna go to the mat for it, but I would still trend on the side of see it, and at least how I feel about it. I think it's still worth seeing. Whether you rush out to the theater is a different story, but
one of the things that I find myself thinking is, and I don't think you should feel this way about a serial killer bumping off his own family movie, is you shouldn't think that the movie is inoffensive, but this movie's kind of inoffensive. It's like, it really wants to just be like, oh, he's not that kind of kid. He would never kill a normal person.
Right.
I mean, if he had to kill one of the FBI agents or, I mean, if his grandfather didn't try to kill him and he decided, yeah, I am going to shoot you. I mean, there's so many opportunities for this to just become richer. And I think
that's true.
And I like movies where, your main character is, an anti-hero, if you will. Whereas this is just kind of like, well, Glenn Powell can't be an anti-hero. I mean, he can't, the first murder, he can't enjoy it. It's got to be an accident by the way, I had forgotten that. So thank you for reminding me. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. The movie, to your point, would have been much more interesting if Bill Camp was really the last one standing and he had to decide, what do I do here? I actually really like this guy. I don't want to kill him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is not a great movie, although it is a great time capsule. But what's the movie? It's Ice-T's. I think it's his first movie, and he plays a cop, and it's Wesley Snipes and Judd Nelson. What's that called? New Jack City.
Oh yeah.
And Wesley Snipes has to kill like his right hand man, who's also his cousin, and he's like crying while he does it. And I just remember thinking, now it might be a million times more horrible than I remember, just like bad acting and bad camera work. I don't fucking know. But that would have been, there you go, Evan. He's got to kill his uncle, who's like given him this decent career and kind of taken him under his wing and been so kind to him. And then he's got to like, strangle him with a bed sheet.
Yeah.
So, oh well. I can't. They're not all written by me, so I don't think anybody would go see a movie I wrote because they would all be movies like that. Like your main character. I mean, you want to like him, but he did stick, a shish kebab skewer through somebody's ear. So
I like the very specific hypotheticals that you come up with.
Yeah.
The last week there was something that I was like, that is a very specific situation that you've just come up with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about like movies a lot, you've always got to think about if there's something that didn't work for you. I think about what would have maybe worked for me. And like, what if he goes to, drop the anchor off the boat and for some reason, I don't know why, he doesn't know, he wasn't a Boy Scout. He doesn't know how to tie a knot well enough, or the anchor falls apart. And so he's got to, get a ball peen hammer and beat him to death. I mean, what would that have been like? So, yeah.
I did like the whole family tree graphic of navigating the different people, like seeing their little silhouettes with their little birth years, and then kind of navigating up the tree as he's starting to pick them off.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that this movie does is it makes all of the family members except for his uncle like douchey,
right.
And it's like, I think Zach Woods is trying to be a photographer and whatever. But what if like he was like a really nice guy and he wanted to be a serious photographer? But what if he was terrible at it?
Yeah.
But you like him so much because he's Zach Woods, you know?
Right.
And he's like nice to his cousin. He's like, you know, I always wondered if you were going to like walk into my life and, you know, and tries to become like really, I mean, I think that would be so cool, you know, if like there are such huge impediments to these murders that, you know,
that would have made it very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's my movie. I'll write that movie. You know?
Yeah. Zach Woods, his character couldn't even remember. He called him Beckham instead of Beckett. He said, "This is my cousin Beckham."
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's when he's meeting Jessica Henwick and she's like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Beckett." And she's like, she turns around, she's like, "It's Beckett, not Beckham." Yeah. And to this movie's credit, it does use Jessica Henwick quite well. I remember when she walked on screen, I can't remember the last thing I saw her in. But I saw her and I'm like, oh, well, there's the love interest because Jesus, you know? And, you know, she's just like wearing jeans and a shirt or whatever. And it's like, but she's Jessica Henwick though. So.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Do you have any other thoughts about How to Make a Killing?
No, I think that I have definitely talked enough about what it got wrong and how I would have done it better.
That's what we like to do here. We like to point out the flaws in movies and talk about ways that could have been better. I mean, it really lends itself well to the format of the show. If we're going to go deep on a movie and we're going to talk about it, we got to dig into exactly what's wrong. We're going to get at all those nooks and crannies and find out what really went wrong.
Oh, and there are plenty of things to fix in this movie. So, you know, there you go. Yeah. Anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I think the only other thing that I would add is that the mansion, the like palatial mansion that the patriarch lives in, they kind of like played up like it's gonna be a whole like thing, you know, like, oh, we gotta, I don't know, it's supposed to be a character, but we never spend enough time there for it to actually really matter, other than we see it in, you know, a couple like a painting that his mom hung on the wall when he was a kid.
Yeah, and I think it was a very strange choice to, I don't even know if that's Ed Harris actually in the scene when his mother, at the beginning, when his mother is telling her father, "Hey, I'm pregnant." It's, I mean, it could be CGI. It just, you can tell
he's shrouded in shadow purposefully because they're like, they didn't want to maybe worry about de-aging. And they're like, if he's sitting in the shadow, or we have a younger actor who looks like Ed Harris sitting in the shadow with Ed Harris's voice, then fine.
Yeah, I thought that was a very strange choice. In a movie,
an odd one.
In a movie that has a budget, that clearly has some money, you probably could de-age him better than in The fucking Irishman, you know, with Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro. So, I don't know.
Well, you win some, you lose some. Sounds like I would say see it, although I wouldn't say rush to see it. And Dave, you would say skip.
Yeah, I don't think this is really worth your time.
Yeah.
That being said, though, it's like one of those movies. Like if you were like on your favorite streaming service and you're like, all right, I just finished fucking Pluribus. What am I going to do now? And it's like, you may like How to Make a Killing. Yeah, okay, fine. You know, you don't have to pay for it. Okay.
All right, well, that wraps up this episode of Spoiler Piece Theater. We want to say a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you for making us sound so great week after week.
Thank you, Otto.
You can find the show anywhere you get podcasts, but you can also go to our website, spoilerpiece.com. We're on social media, although I think we'll figure out what we want to do about social media. But you can still find us there. You can also drop us a line, spoilerpiece@gmail.com. Send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. And if you like the show, please rate and review us by going to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That will take you to your platform of choice, and we always appreciate the ratings and reviews. It gives us cred in the podcast world. Or you could also just tell a friend. We really appreciate that too. Word of mouth is helpful. And if you really, really like the show, please consider our Patreon. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we do exclusive audio every week. This week's audio, we talked about the 1986 film April Fool's Day and had a lot of fun with that conversation. And yeah. And patrons, as I mentioned before, look out for a poll. We'll have one coming soon. And I think that's everything I'm supposed to say. So my name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s movie guide, Better Living, and co-host of the It's Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. I'm on all the social media except Twitter as Dave Sees Movies, because I'm not on Twitter. And on Blue Sky, I'm David M. Riedel. Don't ask me why I did that, because I don't know either.
I won't ask you. We'll just see you next week, listeners.
All right. Bye.